So today we're looking at a case study that, honestly, it might just be the obituary for the traditional seven-figure consulting engagement.
That's a bold way to start.
Well, we're analyzing the Summit Leadership Alliance, or TSLA, and their big push to disrupt the Canadian market.
Right. And their core premise is attractive, that it's also pretty aggressive.
How so?
They're taking this high-impact strategy work, the kind usually gated behind massive fees and reserved for, the top 1% of firms, and they're trying to unbundle it.
For mid-market and general business leaders.
Exactly. They call it democratizing the elite experience. They're arguing that world-class strategy shouldn't be a luxury good.
Okay, let's dig into that idea, that word rigor, because often democratizing something can just mean making a cheaper, watered-down version.
And that's the key question, isn't it? But looking at their methodology, it's far from strategy lead.
So what's the foundation?
They anchor everything in what's called the strategic choices cascade.
And just to ground the listener, we're talking about that classic framework that moves beyond just a fuzzy vision statement.
Precisely. Most boards and owners, they love a generic vision because it feels safe, it doesn't commit you to anything.
Right.
But the cascade forces a binary choice. Specifically, where to play and how to win. It's a ruthless, very methodological way to articulate ambition.
So if you can't answer those two questions with precision.
Then you don't have a strategy, you just have a wish list.
Okay, so the strategy gets set. But we all know execution is where these things usually fall apart. You have a plan, but the leader is just drowning in emails and putting out fires.
That's the bridge they try to build. It's where their ALA comes in, the Applied Leadership Acceleration.
Their flagship tool for an individual leader.
It's designed to solve what they call the busy trap.
Something we're all very familiar with.
Right. They use this framework, the 3 Ps: purpose, priorities, and personalities. And that priorities piece is critical. It forces leaders to cut 90% of the noise, to focus on the 3 to 5 things that will actually move the needle.
And I'm looking at the notes here. The output isn't some 100-page slide deck that just gathers dust on a shelf.
No, and that's a huge differentiator. The output is a 180-day success action plan. It's a printable one-pager.
So it's built for execution.
It's all about execution, clear milestones, not just theoretical concepts.
But here's the snag. You can have a brilliant leader with a perfect one-page plan, but if their team is still operating in silos, that strategy just dies on the vine. How do they stop that from happening?
That's why they pair the ALA with SATA strategic alignment and team activation.
So first the leader, then the team.
Exactly. Once the leader is clear, the SATA workshop aligns that first team behind the plan. It's about mobilization. Yeah. But here's the truly radical part. The piece that I think really threatens the traditional consulting model.
Go on.
TSLA trains internal facilitators.
Wait, hold on. They teach the client to do it themselves. That sounds like a terrible business model for a consultancy.
It does, doesn't it?
Aren't they just cannibalizing their own future revenue?
In the short term, maybe you could see it that way. But in the long term, that is the disruption. They're shifting the model from, renting intelligence to building an actual internal capability.
So they hand over the keys.
They hand over the keys so the organization isn't dependent on an external firm forever.
That is rare. And what about the talent they do send in initially? We've all seen the old bait and switch.
Oh, yeah. The senior partner sells the deal.
And a 24-year-old, fresh out of an MBA program, shows up to do the work.
Right. Well, TSLA rejects that entirely. They use what they call an ally model. You get paired with someone from their elite expert network.
And these are?
TSLA accredited facilitators. These are former C-suite executives, ex-partners themselves.
So you're getting at-level thought partnership. You're talking to a peer.
Exactly. Someone who has sat in the chair you're sitting in. And since they're accredited coaches, they can push you on the hard truths.
But technology has to play a role here just to keep the costs down. I saw a mention of AI-empowered efficiency.
It does, and it's how they solve the time equation. They use AI for the heavy lifting.
So, transcription, synthesis.
Transcription, synthesizing themes from workshops. What used to take a team of junior consultants 3 weeks to compile, the AI can churn out in a matter of hours.
Which frees up the expensive human experts to just focus on coaching.
Precisely. The client pays for insight, not for administration. And it allows for this incredibly rapid delivery of data-backed reports.
So you got elite tools, self-administered scalability, and AI efficiency. all aimed squarely at Canadian business leadership.
It raises a massive question for the whole industry, really. If the mid-market can now access and even self-administer the same tools used by the Fortune 50.
What happens to the justification for the legacy firm's premium fees? What are you actually paying for?
That's the provocative thought.
A lot to think about. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.